How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Flame, and we are back with another FPL video, and today we're continuing our buy, hold, and sell series with Game Week 4. We're going to take a look at players which you should potentially buy for this upcoming game week that we think that they're going to do quite well in the upcoming fixtures, especially this one, as well as players that we should hang on to. Maybe they didn't do so well, or maybe there's a situation where they may be able to redeem themselves this coming game week, and players which you should sell, get rid of as their fixtures are turning, or they may be injured. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and turn those notification bells on so that you can get the content as soon as it is readily available. Drop us a follow over on Twitter so that you can keep up to date with any and all FPL news. We've been retweeting price changes as well as any other things, such as the bans for the Brazilian players and any players that were not able to go from their Premier League clubs on international duty, as well as give us a follow over on Twitch so that you can see when we go live for our FPL preview and deadline streams. There'll be a pinned comment down below to let you know when our next stream is, and that's going to be on the Saturday for Game Week 4. We're going to be up 1 hour before the FPL deadline, so make sure to check us out over there as well. So without further ado, let's talk about Fantasy Football Scout, our partners for this FPL season. So if you haven't heard about Fantasy Football Scout, they have a fantastic members area during the regular season. It's £25 for the membership, and that lasts the entire year. And during the off season, they give a 20% discount. But if you have missed that discount, fear not, you can still get the membership for £25, and it's fantastic. You can see the membership area just behind me. You have a bunch of different stats that you can use, powered by Opta stats, and create your own custom tables. You have the Rate My Team tool, you have the season ticker, player comparison tools, a whole array of things that you can use to help elevate your FPL game. So use the link down in the description below so that you can get access to these exclusive tools to help elevate your FPL game. Sign up now. Now, just an overview of our picks from last game week, our buy, hold, and sell choices for game week 3. So we had Antonio on the buy list, and he did quite well, getting a goal and assist, getting 3 double-digit holes in a row, this being the 3rd in succession from the start of the season. He had 1 big chance, which ended up being his goal, 4 chances created, 5 shots inside the box, and close to 1 XGI, 0.86 to be precise, with 11 points. So he was definitely a fantastic buy for this game week. A lot of you managers captained him as well. I personally went with Son, and I was, slightly less on the points total there. Son got 10 and Antonio got 11, but I also thought that he was a fantastic captaincy choice, which is why he was in my team as well. Just didn't go with the captaincy choice, but on another day, Antonio would have got me just as many points, just slightly more than Son as well. So if you captained him or if you had him in your team, he did well for you. This game week's definitely a successful buy. Barnes, on the other hand, if you held on to him like I did, you were very disappointed. Only 1 shot inside the box, didn't create any chances at all, whether it be big or regular chances, didn't score, didn't get an assist, and got hooked before the 70-minute mark, and only racked up 0.14 XGI, so not really involved at all in the Leicester attack. And I think going into the international break, Brendan Rodgers was probably thinking about changing the formation, and I would expect him to come with a 3-5-2 or a system that accommodates 2 forwards, which would mean dropping the likes of Harvey Barnes. Because when Iheanacho comes on the pitch, they're a completely different team. So Barnes was not a great hold this week, and I would probably recommend selling him. He's, I guess, an honorable mention for the sell list this week. And lastly, we had Emi Buendia. Now, he scored an absolute rifle of a shot from outside the box, but his stats didn't show that he should have got the 10 points that he did. So the sell, in terms of stats-wise, was correct. The outcome, not so much. So he had no big chances. He only created 2 chances, neither of which were big chances. He had no shots inside the box and had a 0.3 XGI. So if you ran that game back 10 times, he'd probably only get a goal or an assist 3 out of those 10 times. So if you had Buendia for that last game, you struck it lucky. He managed to get a goal and 10 points, which I think you would have averaged, considering I think they won, did they win 2-0? No, it was the 1-1 game for Emi Buendia. He assisted Danny Ings. They won 2-0 in, I think it was their 2nd game of the season, so he would have got 3 points, assuming he didn't get booked. and then 2 points in the previous game before that. So he averaged 15 points. So 5 points a game across 3 games isn't too bad for Buendia's price bracket. It's probably about right in what you're looking for. Almost a point per million in a sense, just slightly below that. So if you had him and you hung on to him for the last game, I would think it's probably, you know, would have been good to do so. I personally didn't think he was going to be able to do anything. He did. Aston Villa haven't been looking very, you know, overwhelmingly convincing, as it were. So personally, I think I would be jumping off the Aston Villa train if you have no other fires to put out in your team specifically. Now, with that being said, we've gone through our buy, hold, and sells for the previous game week. Let's look at our buy for this week. Manchester City's false nine, Ferran Torres. He had a magnificent week last week, getting himself, I believe, 19 points, 2 goals, and an assist, with a few bonus points to add on top of that, as well as City routed Arsenal after Xhaka was sent off and ended up winning 5-0. And I think Ferran Torres is going to be a good buy. He's been doing well for Spain. I think he scored tonight as well at the time of recording. He's only 11.1% owned at the time. Yes, all of his returns have come in one game, but his stats have shown that he's been, you know, somewhat decent. He's had 3 big chances in total, 2 of which he scored, 6 shots inside the box, so he's getting a couple shots basically every game. He's exceeding his XGI, which is what you would want from an attacker. But the thing is, he's a midfielder. He's a midfielder playing up front for the team that won the league last season, that scored, if not the most goals, the second most goals, you know, across the whole season. And Man City, they're really fixture-proof, to be honest. The only risk would be the fact that he's a bit of a rotation risk, but sometimes you just have to roll with the punches. There are some players that averaged more points last season. Like an example, Phil Foden, based on the minutes that he played, he averaged more points per 90 across the whole of last season than the likes of Mason Mount. Now, yes, he played less minutes, but you can see the quality of City's team. You could say that maybe another caveat to this would be that City's points are too spread out. So there was 5 goals and only Grealish, I think Grealish got like just an assist versus Arsenal. Gundogan only got a goal. Now they may be focused all into Ferran Torres, and that might play into his hands, but I think an out-of-position midfielder playing up front for the team that won the league last season, that seems like a recipe for success. Also, Pep really likes him, so that's another kind of feather in his cap as well. The fixtures don't look too kind. I mean, Leicester away doesn't look great. Chelsea away, Liverpool away in the next 3 out of 4. But the Southampton home fixture could be quite good. Now, it just depends on how Pep wants to use his squad in the Champions League, because that starts in between Game Week 4 and in between Game Week 4 and 5 and in between Game Week 5 and 6, I believe. So we'll have to see kind of how Pep rotates his squad. And we can look at that based on our Pep Roulette series in more detail, which I'll probably start when the Champions League does start back up. Now that we've got a kind of a sample size of what Pep's looking for with his team this season. But I think Ferran Torres is going to be one of the players that he's going to want to preserve in the league if he's doing well. I mean, when he's playing well, he seems to be the only one that can play this false 9 role, apart from De Bruyne, to Pep's satisfaction. So we'll have to see kind of how this one plays out, because De Bruyne is back in training. Does that mean he's going to start from the beginning? I don't think he's going to get rushed back. There's also reports coming out that I've seen where they're not going to be rushing Foden back as quick as, you know, like last time, because there could be re-injuries, and I would think the same thing would be with De Bruyne. And City have come off 2 5-0 wins. I think they should be just fine going into the next couple of games without De Bruyne and Foden to get them that extra bit of rest. So Ferran Torres for me, definitely a buy this week. I'm considering him as a transfer and as one of my midfield slots to take place of Harvey Barnes as an example, or, you know, maybe replace Son, as he looks like he might have an injury. Or if, you know, some of you managers are taking out Bruno Fernandes, Torres could be the replacement for him as you try to make money moves for Ronaldo, who would be my other obvious buy for the week as well. Now that we have Ferran Torres as our buy for this week, let's check out a Brazilian player that might not even play this week that I suggest you probably hold for this coming game week. And that Brazilian player is Raphinha from Leeds United. Now, there is reports going around that all the Brazil players, as well as some other players who were not let off for international duty, will be banned for 5 days from playing for their club. So, as an example, Raphinha is one of those players that was not allowed to go from Leeds United because they knew that he would have to quarantine for 10 days, which means he would miss 2 of their Premier League games upon returning back in the UK, which isn't ideal. The clubs are the ones paying the players, not the international teams. So we're going to have to see what comes out of that. They said there's going to be a resolution most likely before this, like we'll know in advance before the game week. At the time of recording, this is Wednesday. Thursday or Friday, something's got to come out. So we'll have to see. Maybe they'll save it to the manager's press conferences so that the managers kind of explain things on that front. But I know, like, one player in particular, like Man United's Fred, and I believe one other, if you play a Champions League game on Tuesday, the 5 days will cover that as well. So he won't be able to play in the Champions League on Tuesday either. I think United play Young Boys, which isn't necessarily a difficult opposition by any stretch of the imagination. But imagine if United were playing, they were like Man City and they were playing PSG in the first game of the group stage. They'd probably want one of their key players. Gabriel Jesus might be a key player for them that Pep would want versus PSG. So that could be a bit of a hamper. And a lot of the creativity and some of the set piece plays go through Raphinha. So it's going to be interesting to see how they manage without him if this ban does uphold. He's currently 16% owned, so a lot of managers are also looking to get him on the wild card because the fixtures after this week in Game Week 4 look so good. So Newcastle away, West Ham at home, Watford at home. I think that he's going to be fantastic across those fixtures. And for 6.5 million, we had kind of pinpointed him as the cheapest player that could be as underpriced as he could have easily been 8 million, and a lot of managers probably would have paid for him. So I think if you have Raphinha, I'd hang on to him. If you're on a wild card, I would basically set him up in the wild card team and then have like a defender on the bench. You pay a little bit extra, or you go into it knowing that you have to play like a Livramento or a Duffy or a Brandon Williams or somebody like that in this game week, knowing that you have Raphinha coming in the following week if the ban is upheld. But wait for the manager press conferences. If you're doing it based on transfers, I wouldn't be transferring him in as of yet. I'd wait till next week to do that, obviously. But if you're on a wild card or you already have him, I would say hang on to him. Wait to see the ban situation, then go from there. If you're on a wild card, more specifically, I personally would have him in my team and just use like a defender. Like I said, have an extra defender on the bench that I can use for this game week. So, as an example, a lot of managers will have Trent Alexander-Arnold, Shaw, and then either Ayling or like a Brighton defender. As an example, let's say it's Veltman, let's say Veltman's playing. You could just get in on the wild card. You could have those same 2 defenders, but you can have Livramento or Cody or somebody like that can take the place and then drop back to the bench when you want Raphinha to come back in. So I think that would be my strategy personally. If I had him, I would hold him. I would. He's not injured. He's going to come back and play, and he has fantastic fixtures. And you don't want to be wasting 2 transfers to take him out and bring him back in. That just seems like a whole, pathway you don't want to really go down. So for me, Raphinha is a hold. But if there's one player that I think you probably should get rid of this week, and I might not even be able to get rid of him, it's the main man up front for Aston Villa for this coming game week. And that main man is Danny Ings. You guessed it right. Someone who was very, very, very late into our FPL teams, as it were, because he signed for Aston Villa out of nowhere. Ollie Watkins gets this injury, and bam, Ings is the main guy as our Aston Villa forward for those first 3 fixtures. Well, those fixtures are brought out, as you can see across the top. Nothing but red. It's not looking great. Chelsea away, Everton at home. I think that's a little bit better than a difficulty rating of FTR 4. Man United away and Spurs away. It's not looking great. Now, me personally, on my own team, I have Callum Wilson, who could be injured, so I would probably hang on to Danny Ings and use Wilson as the slot for Ronaldo if I was going that route. But if you don't have another forward that you have to get rid of, or you're running a 3-5-2 and your other forwards like Antonio or somebody like that, I think Ings is the one you're going to have to get rid of. I don't see him scoring versus Chelsea. I don't see him scoring versus United. Spurs' defenses look good. Everton at home is probably the only one I can say probably he's going to be, he might get something there. But the other 3 fixtures just don't look great. He has 2 goals and an assist across the season thus far, so great numbers output-wise. But big chances, just the one. That was the penalty that he scored. Chances created, just the one, which was the assist that he got. Big chances created, which was none, because Buendia shot from outside the box. And only 4 shots inside the box, and 2 of those were goals. So he is very efficient, Danny Ings. Very, very efficient. So one of those was a bicycle kick as well. So the goals that he has scored have been like few and far between. So a penalty from the spot, which was his only shot up the game in the first game that they played versus Watford. Then the bicycle kick as well was just a crazy, crazy goal. And yeah, Danny Ings has served our teams well, but I think it's just, you know what you were going to get out of him in the first 3 game weeks, and we all had kind of penciled him in to be transferred out. And with Ronaldo, it just makes sense. You get an extra 4.5 million, you take out Ings, you put Ronaldo in his place. Ronaldo's got Newcastle at home. It just seems like the right idea to me. Now, if you have other fires to put out, I think Ings is one of those players that you could possibly hang on to if you're hanging on to him for a couple of game weeks. So like as an example, in my own team, I have the likes of Barnes, who I'd much rather get rid of. Son could be injured. Wilson could be injured. Those 3 are probably more likely to get gotten rid of, because Son could be injured, Wilson could be injured, and Barnes hasn't got a goal or an assist, where at least Danny Ings has some numbers to back him up. He has scored twice, and he has got an assist, and we can see that he's on penalties when El Ghazi isn't on the pitch. So it might be one of those situations where I have to make the decision to hang on to him, and then I keep him for a couple extra game weeks, and then I get rid of him, you know, after the Everton fixture. Yes, he might blank versus Chelsea. That's fine, but he might get something against Everton at home. And if it comes down to a situation where I have to get rid of Ings, or I get rid of Harvey Barnes, I think I'm going to get rid of Ings, because Ings' better fixture in game week 5 is at least at home. Yes, it is versus slightly stiffer opposition versus Everton. But, you know, Barnes, I believe, is Crystal Palace away. So it's an away fixture. And Barnes also versus Man City, who've just come off back-to-back 5-0 wins. Whereas at least Ings, maybe he nicks something versus Chelsea. Highly unlikely. But Everton, he can definitely score. And, you know, Pickford almost made a horrific mistake versus Poland tonight. So anything is possible in that game. And Danny Ings is so clinical that when he does get that chance, he's going to put it in the back of the net. So if you're going to be selling a striker and you don't have, you know, like a Wilson or somebody else that you're going to be getting rid of that is flagged at the moment in your forward line, I think Ings makes way. We had penciled him in to do so. So unless you're, you know, if you're on a wild card, definitely he's going to be one of the players you're getting rid of. If you're going to take a 4-point hit, or you have 2 free transfers, he's going to come out, and Ronaldo is most likely going to come in, or Romelu Lukaku as well. I think those are perfectly valid replacements for Danny Ings this coming game week. And that is going to do it for this episode of Buy, Hold, and Sell. If you haven't done so already, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new or haven't done so already. It greatly helps out the channel, as well as turn those notification bells on so that you can get the content as soon as it is readily available. Drop us a follow over on Twitter so you can keep up to date with any and all news relating to FPL or any of the content that we post over on our platforms. And give us a follow over on Twitch so that you could join us live for our FPL preview and deadline streams. There'll be a pinned comment down below to let you know when the next deadline or preview or both streams are coming up over on Twitch. And lastly, use the link down in the description below so that you can get your Fantasy Football Scout membership. You can pay monthly or annually, and it gives you access to Opta stats and tables that you can build with those stats from, you know, anything that you want. Basically, if you want an attackers table, you can make that with, you know, shots on target, with attempts on goal, goals scored, assists, all that sort of stuff. And you can get, you know, defensive stats too, headed attempts like clearances or blocks and all that sort of stuff. Opta has everything that you need in the Fantasy Football Scout members area. It's going to help elevate your FPL game. Thank you all for watching, and until the next one, take care.